not all music producers are the same, not just because they produce music in different styles or different genres, but because the skill sets with which they come to the music production table are very different. In this episode, we want to explore the concept of different types of music producers. Welcome to another episode of Producer Files. Hey everybody, JK from Exilic Music back with you again, and really excited to be getting into this concept of music production from the perspective of the producer and the producer's mindset. In this episode and our subsequent episode, we want to begin to explore different types of music producers, and we want to do so not just to show you that people work in different genres, but we really want to delve into the skill set that makes producers unique. And we're going to be categorizing these music producers, not because we want to put them in a box, but because we want to just delineate the nuances and the differences in the way music producers approach their craft. So we're going to be looking at 6 different types of producers. In this episode, we want to look at 3, and those 3 are going to be the musician, the composer, and the singer-songwriter. These are unique types of music producers. In our next episode, we're going to look at the engineer, and we'll also look at the beat maker / DJ, and lastly, we will look at the traditional producer, whatever that might mean. So let's jump into today's episode. First type of producer is what we want to call the musician. The musician. Let me read a bit of a blurb here. This type of producer is firstly a highly skilled musician. Perhaps it's a vocalist, perhaps it's an instrumentalist, perhaps both. Often their years of experience as performing artists, and sometimes they've also worked as music directors or musical directors for bands and live performing artists. All of this combined with their sheer passion for music equips them to create quality productions for their clients. So this type of producer is what we would often regard as a musician. You'll see this person, and often the first thing that identifies them is their musicianship. These producers are passionate about playing well. They are, as we said in the blurb, usually an instrumentalist, often a vocalist. Often it's a multi-instrumentalist. And when you put that person behind the production board, they can bring all of that kind of musicality to the table and create amazing end products. They can oversee the music production process, but they do so from the perspective of a muso. So when they work with other musicians, be that the artist or be that their team, they think music, they eat, breathe, sleep music, and it's their musicality that sets them apart as they set out to produce their finished products. Some examples of South African producers who fit into this category are people like Don Laka, known as a jazz musician, but also known for his ability to cross over into other forms like house, SA house, and kwaito. Think of people like Salalo Salota. Think of Gabby Leroux. Think of Lucky Dube. Now, when you think Lucky Dube, you think recording artist, the late great Lucky Dube, reggae artist of note, but a music producer in his own right. When you think Gabby Leroux, you might think of Mendoza, but Gabby Leroux was a phenomenal and a classically trained, I believe, musician with strong jazz roots, who was able to bring all of that musicianship to bear upon his Afro-pop and kwaito productions. Then there are others like the legendary Abdullah Ibrahim, known as a performing artist, a master jazz pianist, but a music producer in his own right. A more current example would be J. Dean Barron. an amazing instrumentalist, keyboard player of note, but a highly skilled music producer. And then there are others like Mark Goliath, Tony Drake, RJ Benjamin, often, I believe, underrated as a music producer. All of these are just some examples of the musician, that type of producer. Let's move on to the next type of producer that we want to kind of zoom in on or put the spotlight on, and that's the composer. The composer is the type of producer who may have started off as an instrumentalist, so in that case, they may be similar to the musician, but their unique gifts enable them to see the big picture of a sound recording, so they can see process, right? They're not just songwriters or composers, but while they see big picture process, they can ensure that the smallest details in the recording are as they should be. So here you often find someone who is classically trained. It may be a classically trained musician or an instrumentalist, but who is a songwriter in the sense that they are a composer. They can read sheet music, they can write sheet music, or they have an amazing ear and can bring that to the table as they compose. So they would often work alongside clients in creating and composing the music. Often they bring this skill set to the table in such a way that releases them to be able to work in movie soundtracks or TV soundtracks or commercials or theatrical productions or musicals. These are the kinds of people who have the skill sets to compose on a big scale, but then to bring that composer's skill, the skill of composition, to the music production process. So they are equally comfortable working on big stages as they are with working behind the boards in a studio. It's a unique type of producer, and there are a number of South African examples that we can list here. People like Lebo M, Grammy Award-winning composer and music producer who's worked on the Hollywood film sets with the likes of people like who's worked on Hollywood film sets with the likes of people like Hans Zimmer and others. Then there are Trevor Jones, Cape Town born and based in the UK. Trevor Jones is a notable composer who is also a highly skilled music producer. If you know 80s progressive rock, prog rock, then you would know the name Trevor Rabin, who worked with the band Yes. Trevor Rabin is Pretoria born, and Trevor Rabin today is not just a highly skilled music producer, but he is a composer and works also on many movie soundtracks and the like. Then there's Zwei Bala, formerly of the group TKZ, Bruce Retief, another award-winning South African music producer / composer. These are examples of South Africans who exemplify this particular category. It's a music producer with a strong composer's skill set. The third type of music producer we want to look at today is the singer-songwriter. Now again, this type of producer is probably more recognizable as a singer-songwriter and often less recognizable as a music producer. These types of producers are the type who can oversee the entire creative process. You're going to hear us use that concept a lot, overseeing the entire creative process or overseeing the music production process. But they do it in a unique way. The way they do it distinguishes them from other singer-songwriters, because other singer-songwriters who are not music producers are probably just that, singer-songwriters. They don't necessarily oversee the creative process. They need a music producer to do that. A singer-songwriter who works with a music producer who also has that skill set is going to be able to produce amazing end results in terms of their art and their releases. And so the singer-songwriter type of music producer is very comfortable, very much at home, whether producing something for themselves or whether producing something for other artists. So they are usually self-produced artists who eventually go on to lend their skills to others. So some South African examples of music producers who exemplify this category. Think of people like Jonathan Butler, well known obviously as a singer-songwriter, but often overlooked as a music producer who brings that singer-songwriter capacity to the music production table. Gospel artist Neville D, another gospel artist, Trevor Sampson. Both these gentlemen are singer-songwriters in their own right. Neville D is a Grammy-nominated and a Dove Award-winning singer-songwriter, but also a music producer of note, as is Trevor Sampson. Just a number of others, Simpiwe Dana, the brothers Clive and Tony Ridgway, another set of brothers originally from KZN, the Eaton brothers, Valley and Verd Eaton. Both Valley and Verd are singer-songwriters in their own right, but have worked together for many years as a production duo called Brotherhood Productions, and then ventured off into their own production initiatives. And then others like Ernie Smith, Danny Kay. All of these are examples of multi-skilled producers who bring their singer-songwriting gifts and skills to the music production table. What kind of producer are you? And if you are a recording artist, what kind of record producer do you need? Hopefully this series is helping you to see a little bit behind the scenes, not just the hands-on work of the music producer, but like we said, the mindset and the philosophy that governs the work of the music producer. And in these 2 episodes, this one and the next one, we're hoping that you are gaining an understanding of the different skill sets and resources that music producers have. So think about that the next time you book studio time. If you find these videos helpful, would you consider liking and sharing the videos? Also subscribe to our channel to stay updated on the latest in our video series. Also tell others about this so that we can get a conversation started. And as always, feel free to reach out to us if you have any music production needs. This was another episode of Producer Files.